Welcome to another episode of Comedy Wham Presents with me, your host, Valerie, and sometime co-host, Miss Purrington. We bring you articles and podcasts featuring the best in Austin comedy in all its shapes and formats. Started in 2016, the podcast project brings you funny people and their stories. As a fan, I like to delve into a comic's background and motivations and will usually take a detour along the way. Consider the interview a way for you to get to know the folks that make the Austin comedy scene one of the best in the country.
I love Austin comedy so much, and I believe in it so much, and I just feel like...
The thing about comedy is if you have some conviction, it goes a long way.
No, I mean, I don't know. I always love laughing. My dad is a great storyteller, and that's, I think, part of the influence was my father's. He's really funny, and he's a brilliant storyteller.
What would I do other than be a stand-up comedian?
Like, I was always the class clown, but I wasn't ever trying to be. Like, I would just say stuff, and just people would just crack up. And
see, I want the audience to love me, but I don't want to be a clown for them. I want them to love me for my own, for what I'm doing on my own terms.
No, I didn't choose being a comedian. It's weird. It's like being a comedian kind of chose me.
I'm needy. I know I'm needy, but like I need stand-up. Like I need people. Like I cannot imagine not doing this.
Welcome everyone to Comedy Wham Live. This is exciting. We've got a really, really great evening for you. I want to, if you don't know about Comedy Wham, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course our website. And we've got over 150 interviews with comics that either are based here in Austin or travel through Austin for festivals. And I got to catch my breath. Holy cow, that's a long walk. All right, so unlike our podcast, we actually give you a little special treat with a live show. We will have our featured guest do a short set for you, and then we'll sit down for an interview. And do we have any Lanalax Corporation fans? All right, well, we're going to do a little live version for you tonight if you're a fan. So let me introduce our guest formally here. This is one of the most extraordinary storytellers that Austin has been blessed to have. We're losing him to the West Coast, but we've had him for 8 fantastic years. And he has been on the Risk podcast, which is Kevin Ellison's podcast, touring podcast. And let's see, what else has he done? What else has he not done? He, of course, is one of the co-hosts of Lanalax Corporation. He is one of the co-hosts of Six Barrel. Had to practice that because when I was rehearsing with my son, I kept calling it Six Baller, which is not right. And then he's also the co-host of Low and Inside, a show with Nick Saverino at the Velveeta Room. And it was just released, I think, yesterday or today, that his debut album, Secrets, on Sure Thing Records, will be coming out on July 30th. So you definitely want to check that out. So without further ado, I did not realize Dustin was hidden back there. Without further ado, please welcome everyone, our featured guest, Comedy Wham Presents, Aaron Brooks.
Thank you. Do I sit down now? Hell yeah. We're a little light on there. Give you guys a break.
How are you doing, Dustin?
Oh, they're talking to me.
Yeah, no. I feel really bad.
You all right back there, Dustin?
You doing okay?
I'm good.
Good. Well, thank you, Aaron,
Thanks for having me.
For joining me. When we were scheduling with you, I had no idea you were moving to LA.
Oh.
And so it's been a little bittersweet news to get used to.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing you post about your last few shows, and it's an honor that we get to be one of your last shows.
I turned down doing the porno show tonight to do this. There's a show in town where you sit down and you watch pornography, and then you make fun of it, and then they put your face over their genitals at inopportune times. So that's what I could have done, but instead I came here.
Well, we have a treat for you tonight, Aaron.
Uh-oh.
Dustin! No, just
the
kidding.
porno I made.
You were one of the early guests with Comedy Wham in 2016, and if you love Aaron, I highly recommend that you go back and listen to those episodes for the background, hailing from St. Louis and landing here in Austin in about 2012. And I thought I'd pick a couple of things from that interview to follow up on if it's still something that you do.
Sure, yeah.
Do you still buy random domain names and use them as projects for yourself?
No, but I own several of them, and I've never given up on them. I own turdlawyer.com, which I bought that, and then I wrote a web series called Turd Lawyer, so that was fun. I own hotpastor.com. I own findagloryhole.com. That one there was actually a little bit of heat behind. We were gonna aggregate all. We were just gonna like create a repository of all of the glory hole posts on Craigslist and put them in one place. Never did it though. I used to own Butt Zap. I was real high when I bought that. I don't own that one any longer. But yeah, I don't buy them anymore. But I have a few on the roster that I need to just stop paying $14.99 a year for. So
yeah, I mean you could achieve some real savings.
Yeah, I also own freedateideas.com, which is a pretty good one. Let's be honest.
That is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to sell that. I'm just gonna stop paying for it. Somebody who will actually use it will make it.
Well, if anybody in the listening audience is interested in random domain names, then
yeah.
Aaron's your guy.
Let's do it.
One of the other things that you mentioned in the interview is that you had a fear that the best thing you'd created so far would be the best thing you would ever do.
Yeah.
Is that still something that you wrestle with?
That's a constant fear, I think, if you're I don't know. This feels like really trite, but I think that's like if you're somebody who gives a shit about the art that you produce, and what I like art being very loose, but like I think that's a fear amongst people who try to create good content is that because you're always evolving as an artist and you're always improving and you always learn something from what you're doing. So in theory, like the next thing you create should be the best thing you've done. And I think that's a fear that I struggle with a lot. I have a joke in my act that I think is the best joke I've ever written, and I've done a few things since then that don't quite stack up to that one. But that's just part of the process. Not everything is going to be a 10, because you're always growing and you're always getting better, and things mean something to you at different points in your life. So I think I still struggle with that. Yeah. And struggle is probably not the right. I kind of embrace it at this point.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm perfectly happy to be wrong about, but I think that you don't compete. If anybody's listening outside of Austin, every year there's a funniest person in Austin contest.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to be wrong on this, but I believe that you don't compete.
I don't anymore.
Yeah.
I got bitter and I gave it up. Let's be honest. I'm not going to say that I'm above it. It's as somebody who's like a storyteller, I'm not suited for like a 6-minute set like what they want.
Yeah.
And I'm also like I'm a 34-year-old fat straight white dude. They're not looking for me, So and it's like a really tense, high emotion time of year that I just didn't enjoy doing it, and I didn't like what it did to people, because there have been people in the past, there have been relationships that have been ruined because of the contest, and there have been friendships that have been ruined because of the contest, even if it's just temporarily. So it's like really high pressure and high stakes, it feels like, for months. It's just like a grind, and I didn't like it, and I have way more fun just doing my own stuff during that time frame. I don't need that contest to validate me as a comic the way I feel like I once did, especially when I was first in Austin and first moved here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would disagree that
Yeah.
you need that to validate you at all.
You heard this set, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, that was actually
tore the house down.
Yeah, that was one of my concerns with this format, is asking you to do a 10-minute set. Seems like that would be not easy for you, because you do like the storytelling style.
I feel great with 10 minutes is great. I think like 6 minutes is great. Anything under that, I'm kind of like, well, I have to sort of trim stuff and sort of Frankenstein things together in a way that it doesn't feel the way I feel like I hate sounding like this, the way I owe it to the story. I feel like there are elements to it that are necessary, that when you go under a certain time, when you have to like really trim something back, I feel like it loses something, at least for me. And that's why I do it. I'm selfish. That's why comedians do it. A lot of us are selfish people. And when you take something away from that, it just kind of loses a spark that kind of sucks,
Yeah.
But I'm rambling at this point.
That's what this is for.
Okay, well then, let's keep going.
Nobody's here for me. All right, so one of the things that you have done since our last sit down is you started the Lanalax Corporation.
Yeah.
You started 6 Barrels.
A 6-shooter.
6. God.
It's okay.
Damn it.
It's all right.
And how many? Let's be full disclosure here. How many times have you had to correct me now?
This will be 2 or 3.
Yeah. So sometimes we never learn.
But you know what? The show's over, so fuck it. It's 6 Barrel now. Yeah. That show 6 Barrel I ran for 2 years with Mac Blake.
Oh, God.
It was a lot of fun, 6 Barrel. Had some good times.
Yeah, I used to pride myself on research.
No, it's okay. There's so many shows.
And
it's
Alone
a dumb
Inside,
show.
that one's for real. That's the right title.
Yep, that's correct.
What has been a highlight for you of these new projects that you started? And actually, as a follow-up, which one is going to be the hardest to walk away from?
Well, so I'm really only walking away from 6-shooter.
Okay.
Mac, the show is, if you don't know Mac Blake, he's the funniest person in town, and it's not even close. He's the best. He's great at everything, and if you get a chance to see him, you should do it because it'll be worth your while. Yeah. Mac and I host a show where we bring up 6 comics, they tell longer sets, and then we sort of interview them in this character. We're an improvised country music duo called Nuck Deep. Incredibly stupid. And so we're these two hillbilly musicians who are interviewing our comedian friends. In the middle of the show, we do like a song break where we will improvise a country music song. So with me leaving, the format of that show is going to change 100%. And whatever Mac puts in place there is going to be awesome once again, because he is without a doubt the funniest person in town. Lone Inside is going to change a little bit. There's going to be a new co-host. There will likely even be a change of venue, at least for a little while. But we spent this spring doing this really cool thing where we had 20 comics here in Austin, and we drafted a league. So we drafted 4 different teams, and they had like a round-robin tournament. And so Lone Inside is comedy baseball, where people come up and they tell like short jokes, and if you laugh, it's a hit, and they advance around bases that are on the stage. If not, it's an out, and then my co-host Nick Saverino and I would just roast people. So it's a lot of fun. But we spent the spring doing this league, and Dustin, who's here behind us, creeping, filmed all of it. And so we're going to wind up with like a really cool pitch, basically. And at some point, we're probably going to pitch that show to festivals and hopefully to like management and television, because it's really well suited to be like a TV game show. So there will be, that is sort of going to continue in a sense, even though I'm leaving. That will be really hard to leave behind. And the Lanalax Corporation will keep going strong through the miracle of the internet. And with me being in Los Angeles, I'll kind of be exposing a new market to the idea, and all these new comics who are, significantly more famous than I will ever be and have like big Twitter followings. And hopefully it gets the push it really deserves, because it's the most creatively rewarding project I've ever had. So I'm really excited to keep that going. So 6-shooter's going away, but the other projects are going to remain in some form or another.
Yeah. All right. So the question that I think a lot of us are dying to know is, is there something specific that's taking you to LA, or is it just the time? It's
just time, I think. I've been in Austin for, I moved here in 2014. So I've been here for 7 years now? No. Yeah.
I thought 12.
Sorry.
Did I get all my math
wrong? No, 2012. You're
okay.
Right. I'm wrong. So I've been here for 7 years, and like I've done the Austin thing. I've done Moon Tower several times. I've headlined the best shows in town. I've headlined the Velveeta Room. I've worked Cap City a couple times, and I've gotten the chance to be somebody in the scene here that I feel like is pretty well respected, and I can go to any showrunner in the town and say, hey, I want to do a set, and I can get up on shows with no problem. And I feel like when I left St. Louis, it was the same way, where in St. Louis, I was like the best comic in the scene at the time, or one of like the 5 best comics in town. And I just got really comfortable and complacent, and I needed to shake it up, and so I moved to Austin. And I feel like I'm kind of in that place now, where the velvet rut, where like I have a really wonderful job that pays me great. I've got 2 of the most fun shows in the city. I've got this great podcast. Everything right now is really easy for me, and I'm somebody who does not do well in that sort of scenario, and I haven't learned how to get really good at that yet. And frankly, I'm not gonna I hate using the term make it, but my career is not gonna advance for me here because I'm not I'm not like a 21-year-old person who's like just generationally funny, and I'm not somebody who fits like what people are looking for. So I have to make it myself, and I can't do that here. I have to go where there are people who can really impact my career, and that's LA for me.
Was there a hard decision for you as to whether you'd go to LA versus New York?
Not at all. It was the easiest decision. I'm not a New York guy. I'm a slow walker. I hate the cold. I'm nice. I'm gullible as fuck. Like I don't
know that LA's any better.
But hey, it's warm and there's not free, but there's legal weed. So I feel like, well, that's more my speed than New York. I don't think I'm not cut out to do that.
Yeah. What? Let's ask. What's something you're most excited about? Setting aside the idea that you're leaving here on top and you're going into this big scene, what's something you're most excited about? What's something that absolutely frightens you about being in LA?
Most excited about, I think, I've spent the last couple of years sort of, I don't know how to say it other than like just stand-up has kind of taken a little bit of a back seat for me because I've been preparing for this move and I've been writing a lot of stuff, like scripts and, web series and things like that to try to build up the skill set that's going to get me down the road of starting my career. Because I feel like a lot of people move to Los Angeles with their stand-up act and think, I'm going to be the next Jim Gaffigan or I'm going to be the next Amy Schumer. And it doesn't work like that. Like stand-up comedy pays so poorly that you're not going to find a manager who's going to want to represent you for 10% of your $400 feature weekend twice a month. Like that's just like the nuts and bolts of it. So you have to have something to sell. You have to have something to pitch, and it's comedy writing. So it's writing scripts. It's having a pilot. It's having specs. It's having a feature-length film. So I've really tried to focus on that aspect of it for the last couple of years, and I'm excited to see that kind of come to fruition. Something that scares me is all the interpersonal stuff. I think that making a big move takes a toll on your personal relationships. And it certainly will and has to a degree already, and I think that's the scary thing for me. I'm not somebody who's afraid of change, but I'm afraid of loss. And when you leave a place that you've been at for so long, you kind of stare loss in the face and have to accept that there might be casualties because of this decision. So that's like the big fear. Sorry to get super deep on that, but.
Well,
that's
almost what we expect out of the way you share your life with us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I almost started welling up. So, there is something very powerful to the way you present ideas to people. I guess you have a little bit of an advantage in that there is a pretty nice Austin community in LA.
Oh yeah,
a lot of our favorite folks have moved on to LA and are
definitely
doing things. Do you think that you'll create new things out there, like create new shows out there as well?
Yeah, I think at some point that's kind of comedy currency in really large scenes like that, where especially if you're coming in from out of town, where I'm not a guy who's like super well known outside of Austin, so I have a reputation amongst comics as I think being funny and like having my shit together and can be adaptable, and I have 10 years of stand-up under my belt and I know what I'm doing. I'm a good comic, but without like going into a place like LA without really any like industry representation or having any sort of formal cachet, you have to have something to sort of barter with, and having a show is one of those things, as shitty as it is, where you can say, hey, can I do your show? I run this show and I'll book you. And that kind of stuff happens, and it happens everywhere, but I think especially in a place like LA. So there will be something, some sort of show that comes out of it. I've talked to a few people out there, friends of mine, that we're talking about putting something together, but there's nothing in the works right now.
Yeah.
But it'll come.
You also have one of the best currencies around as far as an Austin comic, and I'd love for you to share the story of how Moon Tower came to be for you. You've been booked several years, and the story of how you got booked or got noticed to get booked on Moon Tower.
I forget that story. Is that
I thought that the story was you were on Risk, and somebody was in the audience from the Chronicle who did the write-up that then led to...
I was booked on Moon Tower prior to that.
Oh,
but
well, then again.
But this was pretty cool. I hadn't experienced this until I moved here. I did Kevin Allison's podcast called Risk. Kevin Allison was a member of the comedy group The State. The State was on MTV in the 90s, and it was just like a who's who of improvised comedy. When The State ended, half of The State went and created like Wet Hot American Summer and Stella, like Michael Ian Black, all those guys, Ken Marino. And then the other half was like some of the people who did Reno 911. So it's like this really big deal in comedy. And Kevin Allison was part of that group. And he just kind of went off and did his own thing. He has this really great storytelling podcast called Risk. It's kind of like The Moth, but it's probably has a little bit more of a comedy bend to it, I guess. And I pitched a story to them and had gone back and forth with Kevin about some notes on it. And they booked me to do a show at the State Theater next to the Paramount. And I did the show, and it went really well. And there was a writer there from the Chronicle who then wrote up a thing, and I was written up in the Austin Chronicle as like a featured local performer for Moon Tower. And that was pretty cool. Like being able to take that and like send that to my mom, was pretty cool. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. With the Moon Tower, you get to rub shoulders with a lot of amazing comics. And so where do you fall in terms of your personality? You know a lot of people that are bigwigs in LA as far as the comedy scene. Are you the type of personality that will say, oh, well, I've done shows with, I don't know, the Sklar Brothers or
Pauly Shore.
Oh, well, there you go. So you've got an automatic, you're a paid regular at the store now, right?
He told me when I worked with him years ago, he goes, if you ever want to get up at the store, let me know.
Oh.
And then he had no idea who I was 30 minutes later. So I don't think I'm going to be able to call that one in.
Yeah, no.
No.
But is that your personality, or are you're just going to let your hard work ethic and...
My plan is just to like put my head down and work hard. I think I have no problem socializing with people. I fanboyed out to Dana Gould when he was in here one time and asked him to sign in a record of his that I had. And I got to talk to Bobcat Goldthwait about his movies, like not even like the stuff he's directed, and the Sklar Brothers and Kids in the Hall, and just you meet those people at those kind of events that, I'm probably not going to have this opportunity to hang out with Bobcat Goldthwait for 20 minutes and talk to him about Hot to Trot, or God Bless America. So I feel okay talking to people about that because I'm not like as I said, fanboy. I'm pretty adept socially, and I know I can read the room and tell when I've like overstayed my welcome in a conversation.
Okay, so I've completely blown my format, but one of the things that I usually do to start off my podcast is to ask for a word to describe your past. And do you want to know what you said the last time, or do you want to do a fresh, clean?
Yeah, I kind of want to know. You know what? Let's just. I've done a lot. I've been in therapy a lot for the last year, so I feel like I've worked some shit out. My past, I would say, my past is complicated. What did I say back then?
Interesting. All right, let's all psychoanalyze Aaron
complicated.
Here. Complicated. Okay, your first time through with Comedy Wham, your past word was appreciative.
Man. That must have been a good day. It's two sides of the same coin. I'm the child of a nasty divorce, and I have a really complicated relationship or lack thereof with my dad, and just this week, there's been like a lot of shit that's happened with him and I for the first time in 8 years. And so there's part of it that is like super complicated and unpleasant to talk about or think about. But then the other part of that is that like when my dad left, my mom is like the best person I could possibly know. And like so resilient and funny and clever, and they're just I had two of the best role models growing up, with my mom knowing exactly how to handle things like with class and like grace and dignity, and then my dad of like, oh, here's how you don't do everything. So I think they're very much linked, and I probably was just in a good place that day when you asked me.
Well, I was going to say one difference between that first time and this time is Amelia was with you for that interview, so maybe she,
Yeah, my girlfriend's positive presence rubbed off on me last time. Yeah.
And then, as far as one word to describe your future,
I don't know. I mean, I feel like hopeful. It's a good one. I feel like I'm going to Los Angeles at a good time for me personally, and I've tried to position myself well, like saving money and like putting all these scripts in the bank and releasing my album and like getting all my ducks in a row. So I feel like I'm going out there under the best conditions possible, and knowing, I mean, some of my best friends in LA right now are people who are actively blowing up, people with Comedy Central credits, people who are NBC credits. One of my best friends is David Bory, who's the new voice for Comedy Central, and this is an incredible person. And Vanessa Gonzalez is, on a rocket ship right now. I'm really good friends with these people who are getting shit. So I feel like I'm going at the right time. I feel like I've tried to position myself well. So I feel really hopeful about it, which that's typically not been sort of my demeanor personally.
That's what you said 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I was an idiot then. What can I say?
Wait, that means you're an idiot now? No.
No, that was old Aaron was an idiot. This Aaron's going to do it, you guys.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
I'll see you in 2 years when I flame out and come back. I have to learn how to code,
Well,
do you have a podcast called Developer Wham? Because that's where I'm going to wind up heading.
Maybe. Let's talk about this album. You just broke the news that it's coming out in 2 weeks.
Yep. July 30th.
Sure Thing Records. Mm-hmm. Is it good, Dustin?
Great.
Yeah, I imagine. I was not able to be at the live taping. I don't know if anybody in the audience happened to be at the live taping, but how did it go for you?
It couldn't have gone any better. There were two shows. Punch, which is like the best show in America. It really is. Like we're so fucking spoiled here, and that like I've done comedy all over the country, and there's nothing like it. Just like how regularly really, really good that show is. And Matt, who's here, obviously, so I feel weird saying this, was gracious enough to let me do the taping there. And it was just like a packed crowd, and they were awesome. And Vanessa Gonzalez opened up for me after Matt, who's just like a consummate host. And when you're set up like that, it's so easy because you're just telling your jokes, and the crowd is so willing and accepting and going along with it. That the first night of the recording, I nailed it. I thought, okay, I got it. And I was doing 2 nights. And I literally went home and I cried in my backyard.
Aww.
Because, well, so much of the album is lead up. It's all about getting the set together, putting the hour together, arranging it such so you know it inside and out. And that way when you do it, it's done. And then there was just this big feeling of like, okay, I did it, and it was like a really emotional thing. And then I had Sunday with Mac Blake and Ralphie Hardesty, who both, same thing. It was like a packed show at the small room in Cap City, and both of them did great. And as fun as that Punch show was, the Sunday show really let me just be super loose and weird because I already had all the stuff that I needed in the can. And so that was really fun, just kind of playing around in it and being like really present in that set. And then Dustin, I know he's right behind me, but he's just the fucking best. The record sounds like a David Cross record or a Patton Oswalt and Maria Bamford. It sounds like a professionally produced piece of comedy because Dustin is so good at what he does. So he did his job, everybody else did their job, and I was just fortunate to be the beneficiary of all of it. So I'm really excited. The record sounds great. I'm super happy with how it turned out. It couldn't have gone any better.
The cover art is amazing.
The cover art is awesome. AlexisGardner.com. She's a local artist who I met through a guy who was wearing a shirt of a podcast of a friend of mine. And I said, hey, it's my friend's podcast. Come to his show next week. And they came out and he brought Alexis and she said, I do art if you have anything. And I gave her my dumb idea and she just fucking nailed it. She did. If you haven't had a chance to see the art, it's like very choose your own adventure books sort of themed. And she hand painted me, which is terrifying to do for sure, I bet. And she just did such a great job on it. And everybody who worked on the album, like I am so in debt to because everybody just did a great job.
Well, I think everybody loves supporting you too.
Well, I
think
appreciate it.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
And just as a comedy fan, it still feels so weird to me to hear you talk about preparing a set and writing things down because so much of what I feel when I watch you do comedy just feels like your, fireside chat where you're just telling me, rattling something off.
Well, there's a lot of
story.
There's a lot of it that's in the moment, but that's the way I write jokes is, I'll have like a kernel of an idea and I'll go on stage and just kind of talk. And I feel like for me, there's like this fight or flight mechanism that kicks in, like this reptilian part of my brain that's just wired to like try to be funny. And that's when I feel like I'm at my funniest, when it's like I'm trying to figure out something new and my back's against the wall and I have to say something funny here. That's when I feel like I'm at my best. So it's kind of, I feel like that's not how a lot of comics write, I don't think. I don't generally like write things down. I don't usually put a set list together even. I think I'm a little different in that regard. So yeah, I think it certainly feels more conversational just from the nature of how it's all prepared.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we're going to start segueing into the special treat that we have for everyone, but I'd like to talk about the Lanalax Corporation, which, if you haven't heard it, it's a choose-your-own-adventure. It is amazing. It's Aaron and Pat. They'll have guests in. The criteria that Pat always mentions is it's recorded super late after everybody's finished all of their shows for the night and super high.
Yeah, we get uncomfortably high at between 1:30 and 2 a.m. Every Friday, and we record until about 4 a.m. 4:30, 5. It just kind of, it's the most fun thing. So, it's basically like a choose your own adventure podcast that takes place in a universe that wants to ruin your life. So as you listen to the podcast, every episode there are recurring characters and there are tropes that happen a lot on the show. And the most consistent trope is that the person who's receiving the hypothetical dies a grisly, horrible death every time. Or they get stuck. My mom has done the podcast several times, and I couldn't bear to kill my mom, so I just stuck her in a buffering loop of a YouTube video for eternity. So if you don't die, it's almost like somehow worse because you get trapped, you get sent to hell forever. Yeah, it's really fun. It's a good time, and it's like an improvised choose your own adventure thing.
So one of my favorite things about listening to the podcast is specifically when Pat is doing the choose adventure, leading you on the adventure. Have you guys ever tabulated how many times you say, God damn it, and fuck you?
So many. It's probably a dozen an episode, and there's 450 episodes. Yeah. That's the other thing. It's a podcast that comes out every single weekday. They're like 30-minute episodes, and we put one out Monday through Friday, and we've been doing it for over 2 years almost. So there's literally 450 episodes online, and they're all free. We don't charge anything. We don't have any. We're probably idiots, but we don't charge anything. We don't market it at all. It's just out there for you to find, and the people who are really into it are really into it, and the people who are not, don't ever talk to us again.
So if you're not into it, now's your time to exit stage left. No, please stay. All right. Well, if you're ready, let's see how I fare.
Peek behind the curtain. Every episode we have it's like a 2-sentence prompt where I'm basically gonna tell and improvise. We're gonna improvise a story based on it's like a prompt that I have, and everything outside of this one singular question that gets posed in the episode is improvised. So yeah, you feel free to laugh if you think it's funny. If not, fuck you. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So a couple years down the road, you come into a considerable amount of money.
How much?
$155,000.28.
Okay. Is it taxable?
Pardon?
Is it taxable?
No. Okay. You try to pay taxes on it, and the IRS calls you, and they're like, never pay taxes on this again. And like the guy who calls you, he's fucking serious, man. He like, there's a chill in his voice that runs down your spine. So
okay.
You're like, great, $155,000.28. You you won it because you won a lawsuit. You sued McDonald's. You went to a McDonald's one day and you ordered a McGriddle sandwich, and there was no syrup inside the muffin, you know, and you were fucking pissed. Okay, It was just like, it was a confluence of events that just really hit you the wrong way, and you went back inside and you kick the door down of the door swings open to the McDonald's, and you go, there's no fucking syrup in my McGriddle, and you take some charged steps towards the counter, and you slip on a piece of ham that this McDonald's, they've been getting in trouble a lot lately because they take the ham discs and they throw them at each other. And there was one of them that got away, and they were like, where did it go? And it turns out they didn't look very hard. You slip on it.
Okay. Was I the only one to have slipped that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there have been several since, but you were the first one.
Okay.
So you slip on this piece of ham, it flies up in the air, hits you in the face, and you sue McDonald's for $155,000.28.
Did I break anything when I fell?
Just the souls of everybody who worked there.
Because healthcare is expensive, Aaron.
Healthcare's expensive, but Epic Muffins are not. But they shut that McDonald's down for negligence. So, you know, like 25 people lost their jobs, but whatever. You made a lot of money on it. So
yeah, that's what's important. There was no syrup in the.
You get $155,000 and change.
28 cents.
28 cents, nothing to laugh at. And you decide, like, man, what a stroke of good luck. So you book a flight straight to Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
You go to Vegas.
Which airline? Not Frontier, please.
You fly on Spirit Airlines.
I have $155,000.28, and that's the airline?
You got a really good deal.
All right, 28 cents, I hope.
No, it was a $17 round trip.
All right.
So you book a flight, Spirit Airlines. They show you Spirited Away on the plane. All of their in-flight entertainment is Spirit related.
Okay.
So it's like Spirited Away, Spirit, that horse movie. They have all the seasons of that John Edwards Medium show. They're all on there, you know. Crossing Over. Sorry, I want to make sure I get that right. So
is the Patricia Arquette Medium? Was that on the?
Yeah, that was Patricia Arquette is actually one of the in-flight. She's like a stewardess.
Okay.
She says, you might know me from Medium, but here I'm going to help you stay safe. And she does the announcements, and then for a fee, you could go up and like do lines with her. You don't do it because you're saving your money for the fucking crap stable.
Okay.
You land in Las Vegas. It's hot, 105 degrees. It's a dry heat.
Which month did I go?
July.
Okay.
So you go out to Las Vegas. You go to Caesar's Palace.
Is that where I'm staying?
Pardon?
Is that where I'm staying?
Yeah.
Okay. Presidential suite? I got $155K.
No, it's the vice presidential suite.
Okay.
It's the same thing as a presidential suite, but they don't allow gay sex. So.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Nope. It's just the vice presidential suite.
I did not know Caesars was that, you know.
Well, that's a rule at Caesar's Palace.
Did I speak to the manager about this policy? Because it doesn't seem right.
You didn't really know, but how Caesar's Palace does it, every time there's a new administration, they ask the vice president, hey, how do you feel about homosexuality? And it's thumbs up or thumbs down, and that's, you know, you get it. Mike Pence, he's a monster. So you go to Caesar's Palace, you have a few drinks, things get away from you, and you come to the next morning, and you had a bag where you had all the cash, and it is gone.
Oh, shit.
Empty.
Did I go to the downstairs desk to ask for the security footage?
You do. They pull it up, and it's just you betting. You just lose it all.
Wow.
You lose $155,028 minus the $17, and whatever the room cost. I wasn't there. I don't know what it was. So
I had to tip the bellman.
You return to Austin, right? Mm-hmm. Dejected, sort of down on your luck. You feel like it was an opportunity that you blew. You go to a farmer's market that weekend. You're kind of walking around just like, man, what am I doing? You're just really beating yourself up.
Which farmer's market? The Barton Creek one or the Sunset Valley one?
It's a new farmer's market. It's opened up South Park Meadows.
Okay.
They fill the entire parking lot of South Park Meadows to the brim with farmer's market.
Is there a lot of kale?
There's
kale.
My God! I mean, there's acres of kale.
God, sweet.
So you're walking around South Park Meadows, looking at shit. You see some guy's got sandwiches for sale. You're getting a little hungry. You go get a ham and cheese.
Oh no.
Why is that?
Ham.
Ham? You don't eat ham?
Well, the last time I had an incident with ham, I fell on my ass.
You feel like you are trying to take it back. You're like, I'm going to own ham.
Okay.
You're like, I'm not going to let ham get the better of me.
Yeah.
I'm going to own ham. That's what you tell the guy who's working the counter. He's like, I don't fucking care. It's $4. So you pay him the $4. You eat your ham sandwich. You go to take a bite out of the ham sandwich, and the moment that your teeth break the surface of the bread, you hear, hey.
Oh, no.
Valerie.
No.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, God.
It's me, Bill the Dill.
Oh, no, I'm not Bill the Dill.
What do you do?
I say, Bill, don't fuck with me. I just lost $155K at craps in Vegas.
He goes, that's what I want to talk to you about, buddy.
Okay.
Do you look at the pickle?
Mm-hmm.
You lift up the sandwich, and there's a dill pickle chips there. Mm-hmm. And where the seeds are, it's kind of like eyes. It looks like eyes.
Oh, God.
There's a seed smile. You kind of like shake your head to like refocus. When you refocus on it, the eyes are now like big googly eyes.
Oh boy.
And the smile is a large cartoon smile that extends outside of its frame. And at the tip top of that pickle chip is a thick jet black pompadour.
A what? Oh God, no.
Yeah. And he's wearing a leather jacket. He looks tough as fuck.
That's not edible.
And he goes, I'm here to help you out of your pickle, buddy.
Oh God.
He goes, I hear you lost a lot of money at the craps table.
All right, I did. What are you going to do about it?
He goes, I can get it back for you. You just got to do one little thing for me.
All right. What do I have to do?
Bill the Dill goes on to tell you that there's a killer on the loose.
Okay.
That this killer is going to farmers markets all across the greater Austin area every weekend. And he picks out one person, and he shoves enough kale in their throat to where they asphyxiate and perish.
Okay.
They're calling him the Organic Green Killer. And Bill the Dill tells you, he goes, yeah, I know where he is. And if you take care of him, if you save the city of Austin from this serial killer, he goes, I'll get you all that money back.
I'm in, Bill. I'm in.
So you tell him, you're like, I'm in. He goes, great. Finish your sandwich if you want. Would you eat the rest of the sandwich?
Wait, do I have to eat it with a leather jacket? Am I eating Bill, or can I separate Bill?
I mean, if you want to take Bill off the sandwich, you get the feeling that he wants you to eat him.
Well, I have to hold him accountable to giving me the money. So I'm going.
Bill the Dill goes on to tell you he's part of an intelligence network called the Pickle Clan.
Okay.
There are pickles all over the world. Anywhere there's a pickle, that pickle can see and observe what's going on around and can report back to all of the other pickles on Earth.
Okay.
So, I mean, he'll find you.
He'll
again.
reincarnate. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm in, Bill.
So do you
I'm
eat
eating you
the
up, Bill.
sandwich?
I'm eating you up.
You eat the sandwich.
Yep.
You take a bite out of Bill, and he goes, "Oh yeah."
Bill, you're a creepy fuck.
He loves being eaten.
That's disgusting.
So you eat this fucking sandwich, and I got to be honest with you, it's the best sandwich that you've ever had.
It can't be a dry ham and cheese.
It's ham and cheese and pickles on white bread. It's
no
the
mustard,
best,
no aioli. No. Okay.
It's the best sandwich.
Is it the bread?
It's
what kind
all
of bread?
it. It's perfectly balanced.
Okay. All right. It's the best
The
sandwich.
bread is soft. The ham is just salty enough.
Okay.
The pickles are exquisite, crunchy.
Mm-hmm.
So you eat this sandwich. You go back to your car. Sitting on the dash of your car is a piece of paper from a Ramada Inn letterhead. Like, you know how they give you those little tearaway pads of paper in the room? And it's got a name on there, and you see the address for the Ramada Inn.
Okay.
The name says Kevin Silverberg.
Kevin Silverberg.
Mm-hmm. Kevin Silverberg.
Never heard of that name, so I don't know him.
You don't know him.
So he wants a hookup?
It says room 212.
212. All right.
What do you do?
There's a lot of Ramada Inns. How do I know which one?
It's got the address on there.
okay.
It's one on the I-35 frontage road, north side.
Well, I have to honor my commitment, and I got to kill the organic kale killer. So,
Organic greens killer?
Organic greens killer. So I'm going to go. What else? What do I have to lose?
So you go to the Ramada Inn. You're sitting there in the parking lot looking at the paper. You kind of steel yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
I'm going to bring some nunchucks.
Do you have nunchucks with you
I do
normally?
in
your car?
In my car. So I'm going to bring those up.
You grab the chucks?
Yep. And I'm going to walk up to 212. I'm going to take the stairs so I can,
get pumped, get in the
pumped.
zone.
Yep.
You put in your headphones. You put on rock, the rock and jock. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
Dun, dun, dun,
Yep,
dun,
yep,
dun,
yep.
dun, dun. You're just
The
fucking
Rocky
blasting
soundtrack.
it.
Yep, I'm ready.
CNC Music Factory, all the hits. You got the chucks in your hand. You're just whipping them around. You know what I mean? You kind of like the way that they just smack against your back. It kind of just there's like this animalistic thing that comes out of you.
Right.
You walk down the hall. It's quiet. You see room 212. What do you do?
I'm knocking aggressively. Yep.
You knock on the door. Door comes open. There's a chain on the other side. There's a scraggly, long-faced man. He's got an unkempt beard, sort of salt and pepper hair. He kind of looks at you and goes, "Who are you?"
I'm Valerie. Are you Kevin?
He goes, "Yeah."
Are you the organic greens killer?
He slams the door in your face.
Fuck that guy.
Okay, well, you're in the hallway. What are you going to do?
I'm going to break it open.
How do you break it open?
I'm going to kick it open.
So you kick it open, right?
I'm going to kick it open.
You kick it open. You kick as hard as you can. You just blast this door. It swings open. He falls to the ground. He's laying there, totally nude. He wasn't expecting guests. Look on the bed. You see just like bags upon bags of kale.
He's been caught green-handed.
Green-handed. What do you do?
I'm like, "Are you Kevin?" And I show him the piece of paper.
Tears in his eyes. He says, "Yeah."
Your time is up, buddy.
Okay.
And I'm going to use the nunchucks, and I'm going to choke him out.
So you choke him out with the nunchucks, right?
Yep.
So he's there, passed out on the floor. Are you going to kill him?
Bill the Dill asked me to.
Yeah. How are you going to kill him?
Well,
He's incapacitated on the floor.
I'm choking him with those nunchucks.
So you choke him with the nunchucks until the life leaves his body.
Yep.
He lays there limp, not breathing anymore. You walk out to your car and go
Well,
home.
I've got to cover him up first.
You cover him up.
Yeah.
You cover him up with the kale because you don't want to see it go to waste.
Yeah.
You go home. You're exhausted mentally and emotionally. You lie down. When you wake up, there's an alert on your phone. It says you have a new deposit in your bank account. Sweet. You pull it up, $155,000.28. Nice. And you think, God, what's the first thing you do now that you got that money back?
I'm buying a ticket on Jetblue to Las Vegas.
So you buy a ticket on Jetblue to Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. You're flying a week out. You look forward to it the whole time. You buy like an outfit. You get like a nice room, maybe the presidential suite. I don't know. All kinds of sex in that one. You fly to JetBlue. You stay in a hotel, right? That's the plan. So you board JetBlue. You're kind of waiting for the plane to take off. You sit there. You watch like the pre-flight entertainment. They give you the whole spiel. You pop a little melatonin, put down a sleeping mask, and you just are about to fall asleep. You're kind of looking out the window. You see the wing of the plane. You hear the roar of the engine, and you see a flock of seagulls.
Oh no!
Coming. A flock
Wait, the band or the?
It's both. Oh. It might be the melatonin. But
yeah, because I don't do drugs.
You see like the guy. It's a bunch of seagulls that have the hair from the guy, a flock of seagulls, and the plane is going right towards it.
Oh no!
And you take a big breath to yell, "Look out!" And then the seagulls run into the engine, and they blow up the motor, and the plane crashes, and 120 people die.
Well, in your honor, God damn it!
You died.
God damn it!
The greed. You got the money back and you died immediately. You could have done so much more, but you decided to go back to Las Vegas to probably blow the money again. You didn't learn anything.
Oh my God, that was incredible. That was incredible. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Oh, well, everyone, that is pretty much a wrap on Comedy Wham Presents with Aaron Brooks and a little sneak peek of the Lanalax Corporation. And I am not nearly as qualified as some of the guests that they have on the Lanalax Corporation. So please, absolutely.
You died,
give
yeah,
it.
you died.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
died.
you died.
So that's good, I guess.
Yeah, everybody does.
And Aaron, you're such a comedy genius. It's gonna be so sad to see you,
Thank you.
go, but we know you'll be very successful in LA, and
Appreciate
we
it.
know you'll visit.
I'll be back.
Because you have reasons to visit.
Yeah.
And why don't you take a moment to promote social media, your projects, your album,
yeah.
everything that you want us to.
I'm on Twitter at Funny Brooks. I hate it. I'm trying to change it. It's stupid. I'm on Instagram at Aaron Brooks Comedy. That's too long for Twitter. At Lanalax Corp on Twitter as well. We're on Podbean. That's where we host stuff. iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff. Yeah, I think keep supporting the cool shit that I was able to help start with Lone Inside. That's going to be happening coming up soon. It'll be at Cap City on Tuesdays for a limited run, and then probably back to the Velveeta Room. And whatever Mac Blake does for Six Shooter, please support that as well. But and just support live comedy in Austin. It's great, and we're all spoiled, and there's not enough press about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we're going to do a write-up on this episode and post that on the website, as well as release this as a podcast. And huge thank you to Fallout Theater. Thank you, Omar. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Lara. Thank you, Dustin. How are you doing back there? Good. All right, fantastic.
Dustin's been behind us just shitting this whole time.
This whole time.
Yeah.
This whole time. And
It's a
thank
mess.
you all for coming to hear Aaron. And this has been Comedy Wham Presents Aaron Brooks.
Thank you.
I'm Valerie. That's been funny. Thank you.
Thanks.